What influences voter turnout in elections? Imagine a community where everyone shows up to vote. What makes some people head to the polls while others stay home? That's what we're here to find out. Voter turnout depends on many factors working together. When analyzing election outcomes, understanding these influences helps us see why certain results happen. It also guides efforts to improve election security and fairness. First, socioeconomic status plays a big role. People with higher incomes and more education tend to vote more often. They usually have better access to polling places and more information about elections. Those with lower income or less education might face obstacles like transportation issues or not knowing how to register. These barriers can keep them from voting. Age is another key factor. Older voters, especially those over 45, usually turn out in higher numbers. Younger voters, especially those between 18 and 29, often vote less. This can be because they are still settling into their lives or feel less connected to politics. Education also influences voting. People with college degrees or higher levels of education tend to be more interested in politics and more likely to vote. They understand the issues better and see voting as important. Race and ethnicity matter too. Historically, white non-Hispanic voters had higher turnout rates. But in recent elections, Black and Hispanic voters have become more active. Still, disparities exist, often tied to social and economic factors that make voting harder for some groups. Interest in politics is a strong motivator. When voters feel their vote can make a difference, they are more likely to participate. If they believe the election is close or that their preferred candidate has a chance, that also boosts turnout. Voter registration laws can help or hinder participation. When registration is simple, with options like same-day registration or online forms, more people vote. Strict rules like requiring specific IDs or multiple steps can discourage some voters from participating. Voting methods also matter. Early voting, mail-in ballots, and accessible polling locations make voting easier. These options help people who might have trouble taking time off work or traveling on election day. The day of the election itself influences turnout. Holding elections on weekends or making Election Day a public holiday makes it more convenient for people to vote. Social and family influences are powerful. Married individuals or those with family members who vote are more likely to go to the polls. Family habits and social circles can encourage participation. Efforts to get out the vote, like campaigns and community outreach, can make a big difference. When organizations reminded and motivate voters, turnout tends to increase. Where someone lives also impacts voting. People with stable housing and long-term residence in a community are more likely to vote. Rural areas often see higher turnout than urban areas, partly because of community ties. Weather can unexpectedly affect turnout. Bad weather on election day, like heavy rain or snow, can keep people from reaching polling stations. Looking at these factors from the perspective of election security and results, understanding what influences turnout helps us see who is represented in the final count. It also shows us where to focus efforts to make voting easier and fairer. For example, expanding early voting and simplifying registration can bring more voices into the process. When more people participate, election results better reflected the true will of the community. So knowing what drives voter turnout helps us build stronger, more inclusive elections.